I am old enough to not be able to skate aggressive very much. Be completely transparent. I can skate aggressive maybe once a week. Twice a week if I'm lucky. My knees just can't handle it. It is a really high impact activity. You know, jumping on a ledge, falling down a lot, that really hurts when you get older. I'm 45 and, you know, every bump and bruise takes a little bit longer to heal now. The mini ramp helps. You know, skating the mini ramp has been nice. It's been good for my cardio. I feel like I'm in better shape now, even though it's only been, you know, a few sessions now, a few weeks that I've been able to skate. But there's nothing more enjoyable and low impact than just going out there, putting some wheels on your feet and skating around. And I always try to tell people when they come back to skating, you know, they find my channel or they find Ricardo or they find something, I don't know how they find skating, but they find skating again and they say, oh, I can't believe people are still doing this. I used to have a pair of K2 fatties. I used to do Misty flips and Royales and Unities, and I want to get back into it. And it's like, cool. Like, realize that you're in your 30s now, maybe even your 40s. You're not going to be able to bounce right back and do what you were doing when you were, you know, in high school. It is a very different world for you. Things hurt more. You're going to get sore. You're going to need to stretch. Every day you're going to need to stretch. You're going to do some core exercises just to skate. And I don't know that we ever did exercises to skate. Maybe we did some jumping practice, but we didn't do any stretching or anything like that when we were kids. Come on, like, I'd rather just skate. Like, don't stretch. But now you got to really take care of your body so you don't injure yourself so that you can skate more. The main advice that I give people when they get back is start slow. Start with just skating. Get yourself a flat setup. I always recommend Aeons. I think Aeons, where are they at? I think Aeons are a really great setup when you get back into it because it is the best flat frame imaginable. It has the biggest groove. It is a flat 61 mill wheel. It's going to give you the speed that you need. It's a little bit anti-rocker feeling because this gap is so wide, but it's going to give you the speed that you need. You're going to have a comfortable ride. You're going to be able to carve. You're going to be able to skate and enjoy skating, and you'll be able to grind because it has a really nice sole, really big groove. Everything that you need out the box. You put these on. Doesn't need to worry about UFS or anything like that. You put these on your feet and you go out and skate. And you'll have a really great time. But what if you don't want to do aggressive? What if you just want to go skate? Well, there's a lot of great options out there, and this is a good time to start looking into it. You know, the weather is getting a little bit warmer. It's a good time to go out and skate and just enjoy your neighborhood. You might have some trails nearby, some paved trails that you don't know about. You might have some friends that you don't know or some communities that you don't know exist that go out and they have a Wednesday night skate or a Friday night skate in downtown or something like that. So there's a few options to get into big wheels. And before we talk about that, I wouldn't say that a flat 60 is a big wheel setup. You don't want to skate any distance with flat 60. You don't want to skate around the city in flat 60. Those are aggressive setups. I think 60 millimeters is like the high end of what an aggressive setup should be. Maybe you could say 62, maybe you could say 64, but anything bigger than that, that's a bigger wheel setup. Anything smaller than that, that's definitely an aggressive setup. I wouldn't go skating, you know, a mile in a flat 60 setup. I think you could do it, but it wouldn't be enjoyable. And the reason is those wheels are so small. You have quick acceleration, but the deceleration is just as fast. There's no coasting available. So a big wheel, when you charge that energy into that wheel and you start getting to that top speed, it will coast longer. It will take a little bit longer to get to top speed, but then once you get there, it slowly goes down. The bigger the wheel, the longer you can stride and the longer that you can maintain that speed. So that's why you see speed skaters do the 125s or they do the 110s or something like that. The biggest wheels that they got. The reason is they get to top speed and they can just coast because all of that energy is put into this big wheel instead of, you know, skating like a duck as fast as you can with flat 60. That's no fun. So I'll say that 72s are probably where I would recommend you start. I think anything smaller than 72, you're going to have a little bit more of a difficult time coasting. I think 72s is a pretty good mix. You can get some good acceleration there, some good coast. I enjoy skating flat 72s. 72 mil Aeons are a really great urban skate, all-around skate. If you're looking for a 72 mil, so say, let's tell this story. So maybe you're an aggressive skater and you want to start skating big wheels. 72 being the optimal size that you want to start with so that you can skate around town. The best thing that you can do to start, if you want to still do some aggressive, but you still want to do some big wheels, is getting yourself some of the classic Wish frames. Now, a lot of you are going to say, but that's an aggressive frame. Look at the groove. Look at the wheel bite protection. I know, it is an aggressive frame. But with 72 mil wheels, I've taken these out urban exploring, and they are amazing for skating big wheels. You can get a really good high top speed with these, and you get good coast. 72 millimeters is a really great size for having a low profile ride, a lot of stability, getting good top speed. So all of the power that you put into it, you get back, and it still provides a nice coast. I love the Wish frame. I think the Wish frame is a really great all-around frame for anybody out there who wants to just skate around their city, wants to look at still doing grinds when they get there, but they just want to skate and they want to have fun. Definitely the Wish frame, if you're not just sessioning a ledge or skating a skate park, is a really great option. They are UFS, so if you have a pair of skates, any pair of UFS skates, these work great. If you get, even floppy ones like a Blank or like a Majestic 12, Wish frames work great because they are so low, they fit perfectly on your foot. It'll still provide a really nice low ride, and you won't feel like you've got that lateral flex, that weird flex, if you had really, really tall frames on a UFS floppy boot. So yeah, the Wish frames, they are 72 millimeter wheels on the outside, 60 millimeter wheels on the inside. So they create a flat, they're rubbing on the UFS bolts because they are not screwed in, but there, that one. They create a flat surface, riding surface. Technically, there's a 1 mil rocker, a 0.5 mil rocker, but for all intents and purposes, it's fairly flat riding surface. That means that you'll have a really great feeling, kind of like these USD Aeons that I was just talking about. You could look at that groove. It's very similar to the USD Aeon. If anything, the Wish frame has a slightly bigger groove, slightly bigger gap, and it's a slightly longer frame. So if you have a big foot, these are great frames for you. If you have a slightly smaller foot, they do make a smaller Wish frame. I'm not a huge fan of those. I think that's more of an aggressive frame than the big wheel frame. They don't ride 72s. They're 65s on the outside. So, it's only 7 mil difference, but it makes a difference. You'll get less coast with a 65. I wouldn't consider those in the same ballpark as this frame. I think this frame is, in my opinion, the pinnacle of it, but you need a bigger foot. This is a pretty long frame. But compared to the Aeons, you can see the groove. You can see why I recommend the Aeon for people skating flat. The big difference though, look at the size of that wheel. This is a 60, this is a 72. It's a big wheel. That means there's so much more energy you can store in this wheel. So when you're going downhill, when you're skating distance, this is going to provide a much better coast, more comfortable ride, get you over the cracks, things like that much better. Now, what if you don't want to grind? Well, you got a few options. You can still stick with your aggressive skates. I am riding next week the Compass frame. So this is, again, full disclosure, a frame that I designed and I own. These are UFS frames for big wheels. So these are the 72s. We also make an 80 millimeter frame. Compass frame is designed for aggressive skaters who just want to go out there and skate big wheels. It is a glass-filled nylon frame. It is fairly inexpensive, around 60 bucks, 65 bucks. They are countersunk axles and a little bit of a taper, so you can still get soles if you ride them on your sole, with your sole plates. You can still do sole tricks. You can still do macchios, things like that. But they're really designed for just going out there and skating. Again, the goal of getting on big wheels is the most comfortable ride you can, the best coast. Get yourself a little bit of distance so you don't get too tired. And make it small, low profile so that you don't feel like you're walking around on stilts. Because most aggressive skates don't have the support that they need in order to handle big wheels like this. A 72 is fine. These are actually 76s. And the reason why I can ride 76s on this is this UFR, this FR UFR's boot, also has, you can see the countersink in the back for the wheel. It has countersinks on the inside as well. So these middle wheels stick up into the frame, into the boot, and they spin past as tall as the frame is. 76 on a 72 is going to be a super low ride. It's a really great setup. I'm looking forward to skating these. The beauty of this, and one of the main things that I wanted to make sure we did when we designed it, is you can always access the UFS bolts inside this frame, regardless whether you have wheels installed or not. So if you roll up to the skate park and people are like, hey, we're going to go skate downtown, do you want to come? You can say, yeah. You take your UFS bolts off from your aggressive setup. You know, if you had anti-rocker setup with feather lights or something like that, take those frames off, throw them in your backpack, get these frames out, 2 bolts, pop, pop, and you could go skate flat 72, flat 76, or flat 80. It's a really great setup. I absolutely love these frames. They are 260 mil, so they're not the shortest wheelbase. They're not the longest wheelbase. It's a very comfortable wheelbase for most size feet. And they're fairly cheap, $60 or so in stores. Why 72, why 76, why 80? So 2 different frames, 72 and 80. Like the Wish frame, I feel like 72 is kind of the baseline for most aggressive skates. If you look at the blanks, where are my blanks? Ah, here they are. If you look at the blanks, these are the rollerblade blanks. They are a really low profile boot. However, in the bottom, this frame mounts directly to the boot. So this sole plate actually has a little pass-through. Do I have an Allen key? I don't have an Allen key. This sole plate actually has a pass-through. So this frame, instead of mounting to this sole plate, mounts directly to the boot. That means that as squishy as the boot is, which it's not super squishy, but you can see I can flex it. That flex will also be on your frame. So as you get bigger wheels, there will be a little bit more flex because it's a lever basically. These are 60 millimeter wheels. If you had 72 millimeter wheels, if you had 80 millimeter wheels, if you had 90 millimeter wheels, you would have more flex. And this boot isn't super designed for big wheels like that. 72s would be absolutely fine. 80s, starting to push it. 90s, you're really pushing it. So if you have rollerblade blanks, if you have Majestic 12s, if you have any of your floppy boots, old Genesis with a V1 sole plates, things like that, 72 millimeter wheels is probably as big as I would go. For most aggressive skates though, if you've got 908s, if you've got Sways, if you've got any of the carbon frees or carbon skates, definitely you can go 80s. You can go bigger than 80s. 80s is a really good size to start with. 80 millimeter wheels will give you a really good balance of coast and charge. So when you're skating fast, you'll feel like you're accelerating as fast as you can, and then you'll coast a lot because 80 millimeters is a big wheel. You'll be able to maintain that speed. Can you go bigger? You can go bigger. So there are a few companies that make 90 millimeter frames. One is the Sola frame. So there's a Sola 90 millimeter frame. They're mostly made out of aluminum. Kaiser makes an Element 90 as well. They are a aluminum frame. It is usually an extruded aluminum, which makes them super rigid. They are pretty tall. I've never skated a 90 on one of these skates. I've skated them on a carbon skate and it felt okay. My biggest concern with skating big wheels like 90s, or I've had these are hundreds, they also have 110, is what I was talking about with the flexi skates. If you are making the distance between where the wheel touches the ground and your boot, that difference, The taller you get, the more flex you're going to get. And if your boot isn't super rigid, like a Seba that's got carbon, or even an Adapt or a carbon, USD carbon, and you got a 45-degree strap, you could do some serious damage to your ankles if you're skating really big wheels on a boot that can't handle it. I don't recommend these. I skated them on the shifts, and I didn't like it at all. I felt like I was just flopping around. I lost a lot of my control and responsiveness, and honestly, I felt a little dangerous, like I was going to hurt myself. I think there are other boots out there that can handle it, but unless you know that your boots are stiff and you have really good support up there, I wouldn't go any bigger than 80s. I think 90 is really pushing it. I haven't skated 90s. That might be the sweet spot, like the biggest that you can go. But definitely don't push it over 90s. Don't get the 125s. You don't need that big. If you're interested in getting 125s, we got some other skates up here to show you that will make a 125 feel good. But if you're skating aggressive skates, I wouldn't go any bigger than 80. Few exceptions, of course. I think these FRs, the UFRs, they're a pretty good skate. They're super solid. They have a 45-degree strap. I think this might be good for skating bigger wheels like that if you want to skate Wizards, things like that. The Seba CJ with the carbon is a classic Wizard skate. You could definitely skate that with the 100mm wheels. But anything else, just stick with 80s. That's probably safe. If you really want to get bigger wheels, we got some other options to look at. So, get a little bit of water. So I highly recommend starting out with some UFS frames, whether you get wish frames, whether you get some of the elements, whether you get the compass frames. It's a low investment just to see if you like it. But it's not the end all. So once you know that you like skating big wheels, you should definitely invest in a dedicated big wheel setup. And I know that I'm trying to make you spend money. I'm not trying to make you spend money. I'm trying to make you enjoy skating. Going out there and skating a big wheel setup on an aggressive boot is not going to be a good experience. What you want is a boot that's dedicated to what size wheels you're skating. And for me, the best big wheel boot that I have is the Powerslide Next. Oh, where are they? They're way up here. So these are the Powerslide Next. I really like these boots. Now, I've heard that they had some quality control issues. I don't know that that's still a problem. This first version, I heard there was some cracking issues. I've never had any problems with mine. So take that with a grain of salt. Again, I haven't seen any evidence that they've been cracking, but that was years ago. They've refined this process over the years, and I'm sure that they are 100% guaranteed if they crack, they will fix them, but I can't see that happening. Powerslide usually makes pretty good stuff, so I don't have any reason to think that these wouldn't be as good. But this is what I'm talking about for a dedicated big wheel skate. Powerslide Next is a hard shell boot, Trinity mount, we'll get to that, 45-degree ratchet buckle. It's got a MyFit, what is this liner? Is this I don't know if this is a recall liner. And 4x90mm wheels. This is a cast aluminum frame. These run around $350, $400 or so. Maybe a little cheaper. You can find them for cheaper, I'm sure. But this is a dedicated big wheel setup. A few things to look at. So first of all, usually with a dedicated big wheel setup, you'll see some things that aren't in an aggressive skate. You'll see little vent holes, and that's just to get airflow on your feet. You're skating fast, you're skating distance. You want to make sure that you get a little bit of ventilation on your feet. When you're just sessioning a curb or something like that, you don't need to worry about that. And you're not really skating fast enough to get any wind flowing in here. But they've got a little bit of vent holes so that you get a little breeze getting through your feet. It feels nice, keeps it cool. There's even vent holes in the bottom. These are a ratchet buckle. So this thing is crazy. Kind of similar to like a snowboard binding. So you slide in the buckle. There. So you slide in the ratchet. You can hear it popping in. And when you get it to a point where it's kind of tight, you start ratcheting it up. And what that does is it makes this longer. It starts pulling in the tooth, and this plastic shell will then cinch around your foot. So it'll be super solid. No wiggle, no heel lift, nothing like that. Why these aren't on more aggressive skates, I don't know. It's not like this is really a problem. I can't see this getting, I mean, this has a little bit of buckle protection already. I can't see this getting, it's not like we do sidewalks anymore, right? I can't see this getting destroyed. It's really nice to have a solid foundation in your skate, especially when you're skating bowls or doing big airs or something like that, skating skate park. I wish that more skates came with a ratchet buckle. I don't know any, maybe the Mary Munoz Aeons. That's the only one that I can think of that has it. Super, super supportive. It is a Trinity mount. So instead of UFS, a lot of the Powerslide skates are now coming with a Trinity mount. This is a very different mounting system. It is not designed for aggressive. It is a 3-point mounting system. So there's one bolt in the back, kind of like UFS, and then there's 2 bolts in the front. These are the 2 bolts that mount the frame to the boot. So 3 being Trinity. What's interesting about Trinity mounts is you can adjust. You can do this on 165 as well, which is the other mounting standard, but you can adjust where this frame sits on the boot. So if you get some pronation, so if your skate feels like it's going out like this, kind of like rems. If you were skating rems and you know the rems look when it's all bent and you're standing straight, but the boot is all tilted over, you can adjust the skate and move the frame so that it's a little bit more on the inside, move it this way, inside, so that you get different balance, so that your foot can balance differently on the skate. In addition, you can move it forward and backwards if you want a little bit more of a heel, a little bit less of a heel. Very adjustable for however you want to skate. And with this solid boot, with this ratchet buckle, you can go up to 125 with no problem. These are 4x90s. 90s is my wheel size of choice. If I'm skating a 4-wheel skate, I skate 90s. I think 90s is the perfect balance for me of speed and control. While still having 4 wheels down, I can do any of the turns that I wanted to do. Skating a 3-wheel setup, you don't get as much stability for me. I feel like I'm a little too tall. You could definitely do 3 wheels with 90, but then why not just throw 4? I have a bigger foot. This is a 273 mil, 275 mil base, which is perfect for me for my length. So this is my favorite big wheel setup. This is what I skate when I skate distance. Super comfortable, super lightweight. Doesn't have a big bulky sole plate or anything like that. Really responsive. Absolutely love these. Powerslide next. When you get crazy and you want to go into skating super long distance and things like that, usually the distance skaters skate big wheels and they'll skate a very long frame. And the reason is they want to go fast. They want to go straight. They want to have stability at a really high top speed. These babies, check these out. So this is the Powerslide Swell 125. These things are crazy. So 125 millimeter wheels. First of all, that's crazy, right? We were talking about how long it takes to get to top speed accelerating. This takes a while to get to top speed accelerating, but all of this energy that you can store in these wheels, it's crazy how long you can coast with these wheels. You just go up to top speed and you're just flying down the mountain, flying down the trail, flying anywhere you want. It's a really long wheelbase. So this is what, a 12.5 inch wheelbase. I don't know how long that is in millimeters. Let's see, I have my thing here. It's 30, it's longer than my ruler. So I would say that's like 320 millimeters, 315 millimeters, something like that. Very long wheelbase. And the reason for that is at top speed, longer the wheelbase means more stable. I skated these for a while. I didn't really like them. The reason is they are set up for speed. So you can see where the toe is. You can see the wheel is pushed all the way on the inside of the skate. That is great for doing higher end techniques when you're doing big wheel skating, when you're doing distance skating and you want to do under pushing and things like that, getting control of your edges so that you can grip I don't know. I'm not a big speed skater. I should probably try these again. It's been a long time since I've done anything with them. But if you were obsessed with speed and you wanted to skate long distances, this is an amazing setup for you. It's not a great setup for me. I like skating smaller distances. I like exploring my city. I like doing more urban stuff, and that's why 4x90 is probably best for me. But there are options. My parting words. I would recommend that everybody out there who's an aggressive skater find some big wheels, even if you have to just borrow some frames from somebody who has Wish frames or get some Compass frames or something like that, and go out there, put them on, set them up, and just go out and have fun skating around your city. Drive to your downtown, wherever the downtown is, wherever you have paved areas, and just go skate like you don't care. No agenda. You're not looking for ledges. You're not looking for rails. You can always find rails when you go skate, but don't go out there looking for stuff. Go out there and just have fun skating. You know, if you've got a loved one, if you've got kids, get them some skates, and this is a really great setup for you to go out there and skate. Nobody wants to be the dad at the roller rink in aggressive skating anti-rocker. Get yourself some big wheels. They have even wheels that light up, so you can skate when you're lighting up in the roller rink or whatever. Just go have fun. You know, skating can be so much fun if you don't take it so seriously. And I think a lot of us doing aggressive take it a little seriously sometimes. Putting some big wheels on, putting your headphones on, and just going out there and skating, it is an amazing exercise, mental exercise and physical exercise. And I highly recommend everybody out there take a little bit of time and go out there and do it before it gets too hot in summer. You'd be surprised at how much fun you're going to have.